Good afternoon, everyone. It's Alex here with iChongqing, and I have a special guest. You've seen her actually before in our documentary, COVID, the Human Cost, but she is here in person because the borders have opened here in China, and she is one of the first content creators that has actually set foot here in China since that day. Kaya, what a pleasure to have you here.
Having me.
So
Happy to be back. 5 years. Huh?
5 years, wow.
Back
And
5 years.
first port of entry, Shanghai. Tell us.
Always my home in China.
How did it feel?
It felt strange and good. It was like a mix of emotions. You know, I felt very overwhelmed and confused, and it took me a couple of days, and I was basically like back in love with Shanghai.
Really?
Yeah.
So now you roll into Shanghai. What year?
2000.
2013. You did some schooling there?
Yes, I did 1 year of university at Fudan.
Okay.
Yeah, I learned Chinese.
Good. How'd that go?
It was interesting. My Chinese was much better back then, you
Okay.
know. A good thing about learning Chinese in China is that you get a lot of opportunity to actually use it.
Right.
People are really like friendly and they want to help you to practice. So I would always talk to like taxi drivers, shops and all that. But yeah.
So we're 2013, 2014. I'm not going to hold you to every year, but how did this YouTube channel that you have now, your YouTube channel name is
Kayak.
Kaya Kubitska. Okay. So how does this YouTube channel enter your life?
That happened 5 years later.
Okay.
So it was my second time around in Shanghai. After a couple of years, I came back to Shanghai. I always wanted to come back. So I found a way. I did an MBA degree in Shanghai.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's kind of when I started my YouTube channel. Because that second time around, I knew that Shanghai and China, that was so interesting, but still so few people knew about it. So I also really wanted to, show my life and share how amazing Shanghai was, and just, show my friends and like what we get up to in Shanghai. So it was very casual at first. It was just me taking a camera whenever I was hanging out with my friends around Shanghai, and then later it just sort of snowballed into something bigger.
You do your own editing? You do your own filming?
Everything,
During that time, we did an interview with you for our COVID documentary called The Human Cost, which does, as you say, affect a lot of people's lives. It really has taken the globe and just kind of shaken it, and, the pieces are finally landing into place. You wrote a book during that. Wow.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was always like probably the biggest dream of mine. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to write. And when I went to Shanghai the first time, I knew that like this is the story that I want to write. Like this is something I want to share with the world.
Can you tell us a little bit what the book is about?
So it's basically about my experience living and studying in Shanghai, and just China from my eyes as someone who is in China for the very first time, very fresh and new to everything. Before moving to China, I've never been to Shanghai, I've never even been to China. So everything was new to me, everything was interesting. And also Shanghai is a very unique place to be. So I also talk a lot about the, international community in Shanghai and the foreign students. And of course, Fudan is it's a big university. So it was like a very interesting mix of, local trainees and then people from everywhere, basically. And something that I always say is that the thing that I love about China is that it attracts a lot of interesting people. You have to be a very adventurous and open-minded person to come here. Or you don't have to, but most of the time that's the type of people that come here.
I agree. First impressions, and what are the goals when you're going to be here? What are you going to get up to?
First impression is gigantic. I do understand why people call it like cyberpunk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 8D, 3D, all that kind of.
Yes, it's very different to everything I've seen before. And, I've been fortunate enough to see quite a few cities in China, and quite a lot in Asia, but it's just completely different, you know? It's not like anything I've ever seen before. So in that
Yeah.
way, I'm just very excited to explore and see more. And of course, it's such a huge city that there's just so much to see here. There's just so many experiences you can have. And I knew when I was coming back to China, Chongqing was like on top of my list.
Really?
Yeah, because you know what really like fascinates me about it is the fact that when I was in China 5 years ago, I've never even heard the name. No one was talking about it. In the last couple of years, all of a sudden, everyone, all my friends talk about it. And everyone says this. Everyone loves it.
Really?
Everyone who came here loves it. Yeah.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. So, well, you've got an interesting week ahead of you here in the mega city of Chongqing. I also want to tell our viewers, how can they find you? Where can we find you?
YouTube, Kaya Kubitska, and Instagram by Kaya.
Okay, so we'll definitely add those links in the description below.
But yeah, I think as a female content creator, you unfortunately just need to get ready for a lot of comments about your looks or a lot of judgment in general. People judging whatever you do.
Have you ever had any issues here in China with filming? Not at all.
That's also another thing that, I've started vlogging, filming in China, and I didn't realize how hard it could be outside of China until I left. Because I started here. And people in China are no one will care. People will look at you and then they will turn around and move on with their day, They would definitely not interrupt you. Where, for example, in Europe, I feel like there's a lot of jumping in front of the camera or behind, or people are curious. Of course, it's not a natural thing to walk around and talk to yourself because that's what you're doing essentially when you talk to a camera, right? But in China, it's so easy because people just don't care and they let you do your own thing,
Okay, well, I'm glad we shared that today. Kaya, you have yourself an extraordinary week here in Chongqing, and I hear you're going out to Dazhu as well. So look forward to following her channel. We'll leave all the links in the description below. Thanks for watching. Take care.